Jessica's laugh echoes through the restaurant as she tells another story about her disastrous date last week. But I'm only half listening. My fingers trace the condensation on my water glass, mind elsewhere, cataloging the exits, the people sitting too close, the man at the bar who glanced my way twice. Old habits die hard when you've spent months looking over your shoulder. Megan, are you even listening? Lauren nudges my arm, her brown eyes full of concern behind thick-framed glasses. Sorry, what? I force myself to focus on my friends, these women who've known me since freshman year at Boston College, who've watched me slowly unravel over the past 8 months. I asked if you're okay, Lauren says quietly, while Jessica flags down our server for another round of drinks. You've been jumpy all night. I want to tell them everything. About Ryan showing up at my apartment building 3 times this week. About the flowers left on my doorstep with no card. About how I changed my phone number, but he still somehow texts me from blocked numbers. Messages that alternate between loving and threatening so fast they give me whiplash. Instead, I smile and say, just tired from that translation project. The Italian real estate contract was brutal. Jessica returns her attention to us, pushing a strand of blonde hair behind her ear. You work too hard. When's the last time you did something fun? Something that wasn't sitting alone in that apartment translating legal documents? I like my work. I protest, but it sounds weak even to my own ears. The truth is, I'm afraid to go out. Afraid Ryan will be waiting. Afraid of becoming the girl who lets fear control her life, which I suppose I already am. We finish dinner around 9, and I hug both of them goodbye on the sidewalk outside the restaurant. The November air bites through my jacket, promising winter's arrival. Jessica offers to share an Uber, but I decline. My apartment is only 6 blocks away, and I refuse to let Ryan take away my ability to walk through my own neighborhood. Text us when you get home, Lauren calls as they climb into their ride. Always do, I promise, waving as they pull away. The walk starts out fine. The streets are busy with Friday night crowds, couples heading to bars, groups of friends laughing too loudly. Safety in numbers. But as I turn onto the quieter residential blocks, the familiar anxiety creeps up my spine. I pull out my phone, pretending to text, but really checking the camera app to watch behind me without obviously turning around. An old trick I learned from a self-defense blog. Nothing seems off, but that doesn't mean anything. Ryan's good at staying hidden when he wants to be. My building comes into view, a modest 4-story brick structure that's seen better decades. The streetlight out front flickers like it's considering giving up entirely. I climb the front steps, fumbling for my keys with hands that shake more than I'd like to admit. The lobby is empty, silent, except for the hum of the ancient radiator. Mrs. Harris from 2B usually watches game shows with her door open around this time, but tonight her apartment is dark and quiet. The elevator is broken again, so I take the stairs to the 3rd floor, my footsteps echoing in the concrete stairwell. When I reach my hallway, I stop. My apartment door is slightly open. Just an inch, maybe less, but definitely not how I left it. I always check 3 times that the deadbolt is engaged before leaving. Always. Every nerve in my body screams to run, but my feet won't move. My hand shakes as I pull out my phone, thumb hovering over the emergency call button. Maybe I forgot. Maybe I was distracted thinking about the dinner, about what to wear, about how to pretend everything's fine when it hasn't been fine in months. I push the door open slowly, my heart hammering so hard I can feel it in my throat. The living room light is on. I definitely turn that off. Hello? My voice comes out smaller than intended, barely above a whisper. That's when I see him. Ryan stands in my living room like he belongs there, like he has any right to be in my space. He's wearing the navy sweater I always hated, the one that made his eyes look cold instead of blue. His hands are in his pockets, casual, as if we're old friends meeting for coffee instead of him breaking into my home. Hey, Meg. He uses the nickname I told him not to use anymore, the one that feels like ownership instead of affection. I've been waiting for you. My hand tightens around my phone, but before I can move, before I can run or scream or do anything useful, a voice comes from my kitchen. She's not interested in talking to you. The voice is male, calm, carrying an authority that makes the air in the room shift. I turn and nearly drop my phone. A man emerges from my kitchen like he's simply been waiting for his cue. He's tall, easily over 6 feet, with the kind of build that suggests he could break someone in half if necessary. Dark hair is styled perfectly, not a strand out of place despite the late hour. His eyes are the most striking feature, a deep brown that catches the lamplight and holds it, assessing everything in a single glance. He wears a black suit that fits him so precisely it must be custom-tailored, the kind of clothing that whispers money rather than shouting it. There's something about the way he moves, economical and controlled, like violence is always an option, but rarely necessary. "Who the hell are you?" Ryan's voice cracks slightly, his casual stance evaporating. The man doesn't answer Ryan. Instead, he looks at me, and his expression softens just slightly. "Miss Collins, I apologize for the intrusion. My name is Franco Ricchetti. I've been monitoring your situation. My mind races, trying to place him, trying to understand why a stranger is in my apartment, why he knows my name, why he's standing between me and my stalker ex-boyfriend like some kind of well-dressed guardian angel." Then it clicks. Ricchetti. I've heard that name before. Whispered by the owner of Ristorante Bella Vita, the upscale Italian restaurant in the North End where I do occasional translation work. Whispered with respect, and something that might be fear. "You need to leave," Ryan says, trying to reclaim some control, but his voice wavers. "This is between me and my girlfriend." "I'm not your girlfriend," I snap, finding my voice finally. "We broke up 8 months ago, Ryan. You need to stop this." Franco takes a single step forward, and somehow that minimal movement makes Ryan take 2 steps back. The lady has made her position clear. Multiple times, from what I understand. Restraining order, change number, explicit request to be left alone. "How do you know?" Ryan starts, but Franco cuts him off with a raised hand. "I make it my business to know things, especially when they happen in my neighborhood." Franco's tone remains conversational, but there's steel underneath. "Now, you have 2 choices. You can leave peacefully through the front door, or my associate can escort you out through a less pleasant exit. I recommend the first option." For the first time, I notice another man standing in my hallway, just outside my open door. He's broader than Franco, with the unmistakable bearing of someone who's been in fights and won them. He doesn't say anything, doesn't need to. His presence is message enough. Ryan looks between Franco, the man in the hallway, and me. I can see the calculation happening behind his eyes, the same look he used to get before he'd switched tactics, trying to find the approach that would work. "Fine," he says finally, putting his hands up in mock surrender. "But this isn't over, Megan. We need to talk. You can't just—" "It's over," Franco interrupts quietly. "And if you attempt to contact Miss Collins again, through any method, you'll be having a very different conversation. With me. And I'm considerably less patient than the police have been." Ryan's face flushes red, anger finally breaking through his carefully maintained control. "You don't know who you're messing with. I have lawyers, connections." "I'm sure you do." Franco's expression doesn't change. "Leave, now." The man in the hallway steps aside just enough to create a path, and Ryan storms past, his shoulder hitting the doorframe as he goes. I hear his footsteps pounding down the stairs, then the slam of the building's front door. The silence that follows feels almost as oppressive as Ryan's presence did. Franco turns to face me fully, and I'm suddenly aware that I'm alone in my apartment with a stranger, albeit one who just removed another stranger who broke in. My hand is still gripping my phone so hard my knuckles have gone white. "I know you have questions," Franco says, his voice gentler now. "And you have every right to be frightened. But I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here because someone needs to ensure your safety, and the conventional channels have clearly failed." "How long have you been here?" I managed to ask. "In my apartment?" "About 3 hours. Your building's doorman is a friend. He called me when he saw your ex bypass the security and head upstairs. I've been aware of the situation for a few weeks now. A few weeks. He's been watching me, or having me watched, for weeks, and I had no idea. The thought should terrify me. But instead, I feel a strange mixture of violation and relief. Why? The question comes out as barely a whisper. "Why do you care about some random translator you don't even know?" Franco studies me for a moment, as if deciding how much to reveal. You're not random. You've been doing excellent work for Ristorante Bella Vita. Giuseppe speaks very highly of your skills, your attention to detail. When he mentioned you seemed troubled, I looked into it. What I found concerned me. Giuseppe told you about me? I try to remember ever discussing personal matters with the restaurant owner, but I keep my work relationship strictly professional. Giuseppe noticed you looking over your shoulder, jumping at loud noises. The signs are obvious to those who know what to look for. Franco moves toward my door, giving me space. I deal in protection, Miss Collins. It's what I do, and when I see someone who needs protecting in my territory, I act. His territory. The words hang in the air, confirming what I suspected. Franco Ricchetti isn't just a concerned citizen or a friend of Giuseppe's. He's someone with power in this neighborhood, the kind of power that operates outside official channels. I should call the police, I say, but I don't move to do it. You should, Franco agrees. Though I suspect you already know how that conversation will go. Your ex-boyfriend will claim the door was unlocked, that he knocked and you invited him in, that there was a misunderstanding. No forced entry, no witnesses, just his word against yours. Again, he's right, and we both know it. I've been down this road before. The sympathetic officers taking my statement while clearly thinking I'm an overreactive ex-girlfriend. The restraining order that Ryan violates with impunity because he's careful never to leave evidence. What do you want from me? I ask finally. Nothing, Franco says. Or rather, I want you to accept help. Proper protection. Not just police reports that go nowhere, but actual security. I can't afford... I'm not asking you to pay. He reaches into his jacket, and I tense. But he only pulls out a business card. Plain white, expensive stock, with just a phone number embossed in gold. This is a professional offer, Miss Collins. Giuseppe is a business associate of mine. You provide him valuable services. Ensuring your safety ensures the continuity of that relationship. It's a lie, or at least not the whole truth. I can see it in the way he phrases it. Too formal, too careful, but I'm too tired and too shaken to push. What kind of protection? I hear myself asking. Immediate relocation to a secure location for tonight. Tomorrow we discuss longer-term solutions. Security upgrades to your apartment, monitoring, legal assistance in building a case that will actually result in consequences for your ex-boyfriend. And if I say no, Franco slides the card onto my small entry table. Then I leave, and you lock your door, and tomorrow morning you go back to looking over your shoulder. But the offer remains open. He gestures to the man still standing in my hallway. Anthony will wait outside until you decide. If you choose to accept, he'll drive you somewhere safe. If not, he'll ensure no one bothers you tonight and then leave in the morning. Just like that? Just like that. Franco walks to my door, then pauses. For what it's worth, Miss Collins, you remind me of someone I cared about. Someone who needed help but was too proud to ask for it until it was nearly too late. I failed her. I won't make that mistake again. There's genuine pain in his voice, quickly masked but present. It humanizes him. This polished, dangerous man who appeared in my kitchen like something out of a movie. Thank you, I say. Because what else is there to say? For getting rid of Ryan. For all of this. Franco inclines his head slightly. You have my number. Use it. He leaves, his footsteps quiet on the hallway carpet. Through my open door, I watch him exchange a few words with Anthony, too low for me to hear. Then he's gone, and I'm left standing in my violated apartment with a business card and a choice. I look around my living room. The same couch I've had since college, the bookshelf sagging under the weight of dictionaries and reference materials, the small desk by the window where I work. Everything familiar, everything mine, except now it feels contaminated by Ryan's presence and Franco's intervention. My phone buzzes. A text from Lauren. Home safe? I type back. Safe. Talk tomorrow. Then I pick up Franco's card, feeling the expensive weight of it, and add his number to my contacts. I don't call. Not yet. But I stand there for a long time, holding my phone, thinking about safety and pride, and how sometimes the latter is a luxury you can't afford. Finally, I walk to my door and look at Anthony, who stands at parade rest like a soldier, patient and alert. Can you really stay all night? I ask. Yes, ma'am, Mr. Ricchetti's orders. And in the morning? Whatever you decide, ma'am. I nod slowly, then close my door and engage every lock I have. I know Anthony is still out there. I know Franco Ricchetti has just inserted himself into my life in ways I don't fully understand yet. I know everything has changed in the span of an hour, but I also know that for the first time in months, I might actually sleep through the night without jerking awake at every sound. Convinced Ryan is coming back. I text Franco's number. Thank you. We should talk tomorrow. The response comes almost immediately. My office. 10 a.m. Anthony will drive you. Sleep well, Miss Collins. I set my phone down and sink onto my couch. Adrenaline finally leaving my system and exhaustion flooding in to replace it. Tomorrow I'll figure out what I've just agreed to. What Franco Ricchetti actually wants. Whether I've traded one dangerous situation for another. Tonight, I'm just grateful to be alone in my apartment, with a stranger standing guard in my hallway, and my ex-boyfriend finally gone. Morning arrives with pale sunlight filtering through my bedroom curtains. And for 3 beautiful seconds, I forget everything. Then reality crashes back. Ryan in my apartment, Franco Ricchetti materializing from my kitchen, Anthony standing guard outside my door all night. I grab my phone from the nightstand. 8:30. Franco's office at 10. I have 90 minutes to shower, dress, and convince myself this isn't the worst decision I've ever made. The apartment feels different in daylight. Less threatening, but more surreal. I peek through the peephole and find the hallway empty. Anthony must have left already, or maybe he's waiting downstairs. I unlock the door and find a note taped at eye level. Coffee and breakfast on your doorstep. Car will arrive at 9:45. True to his word, there's a thermal bag containing a still hot latte and a croissant from the French bakery 2 blocks over. The expensive one I only go to on special occasions. I bring it inside, lock the door again, and eat standing at my kitchen counter, too wired to sit. My phone buzzes. Sarah, my older sister, calling from Boston. Hey, I answer, trying to sound normal. You sound weird. What's wrong? Sarah has a 6th sense for my moods, honed over 30 years of sisterhood. Nothing's wrong exactly, just a weird night. Define weird. I consider lying, but Sarah will find out eventually. She always does. Ryan broke into my apartment. He what? Her voice jumps an octave. Megan, did you call the police? Are you okay? Do you need me to drive down there? I'm fine, he's gone. And I had help. What kind of help? I explain about Franco, keeping the details vague, emphasizing the connection to my translation work, and downplaying the obvious criminal undertones. Sarah listens without interrupting, which means she's either too shocked to speak or formulating a very long lecture. Let me get this straight, she says finally. A mob boss you've never met was waiting in your apartment and scared off Ryan? I don't know if he's actually... Megan, come on. Ricchetti? That's not exactly a name you find in the phone book under legitimate businessmen. He was very professional, I say defensively, which sounds ridiculous even to my ears. Sarah sighs. I'm not saying I'm not grateful someone got Ryan out of there. But this man, Franco, he's going to want something in return. That's how these things work. He said he just wants to help. Right. And I'm sure he's got a nice bridge to sell you too. But her voice softens. Just be careful, okay? Call me after this meeting. And Megan, if anything feels wrong, anything at all, you get out of there. I promise. We hang up, and I shower quickly, washing away the lingering unease from last night. I dress in black pants and a cream blouse, professional, but not trying too hard. My reflection in the mirror looks tired, dark circles under my green eyes that concealer can only partially hide. The buzzer sounds at exactly 9:45. I grab my purse and head downstairs, where a black sedan waits at the curb. Anthony stands beside it, wearing the same dark suit, or possibly an identical one. Good morning, Miss Collins, he says, opening the rear door. Please, just Megan is fine. Yes, ma'am. He doesn't call me Megan. The drive takes 20 minutes through Saturday morning traffic. We head into the North End, winding through narrow streets lined with Italian restaurants and cafes, until we stop in front of a 4-story brick building that looks like it might house offices or apartments. Anthony leads me inside, past a small lobby with marble floors and up a staircase with ornate iron railings. The second floor opens into a hallway with only 2 doors. Anthony knocks on the one marked private, then opens it and gestures for me to enter. Franco's office isn't what I expected. I imagined something dark and imposing, maybe some cliched Godfather aesthetic. Instead, the space is bright with tall windows overlooking the street, furnished with modern furniture in warm woods and soft grays. Bookshelves line one wall, filled with actual books rather than decorative spines. A desk sits near the windows, but Franco stands near a small seating area with a sofa and 2 chairs arranged around a low table. Miss Collins. He's wearing another perfectly tailored suit, this one charcoal, and he looks as rested as I feel exhausted. Thank you for coming. Please sit. I take one of the chairs, setting my purse on the floor beside me. Franco sits on the sofa across from me, close enough for comfortable conversation, but not invasively so. How did you sleep? He asks. Better than I have in months, actually. Good. Coffee? He gestures to a service tray I hadn't noticed on the table, complete with an espresso machine that looks like it belongs in a high-end cafe. I'm okay, thank you. I had the one Anthony left. He's efficient. Franco pours himself a small cup of espresso. Now, let's discuss your situation honestly. No sugarcoating, no games. Agreed? Agreed. He takes a sip before continuing. Ryan Bennett, 29, works in pharmaceutical sales. You dated for 11 months, broke up 8 months ago after his behavior became increasingly controlling. He's contacted you over 200 times since then, through various methods: calls, texts, emails, social media. You've filed 2 police reports and obtained a restraining order, which he's violated at least 6 times that you can prove. The casual recitation of facts I've never told him makes my skin prickle. You've been thorough. It's what I do. Ryan has a pattern, Miss Collins. You're the 3rd woman he's done this to. The first one moved to California to get away from him. The second one married someone else and he finally backed off, but not before slashing her tires twice. Jesus. I knew Ryan was obsessed, but hearing the pattern laid out like this makes it worse somehow. The police won't help, because he's clever about staying just inside the line of legal harassment. The courts won't do anything because violations of restraining orders are misdemeanors at best. So you're trapped in a cycle that only ends one of 3 ways. You leave the city, he finds someone new to fixate on, or something escalates to violence. Or I accept your help. I say quietly. Which is option 4? Which is option 4? Franco sets down his cup. Here's what I'm offering. Temporarily, you move to a secure apartment I own 3 blocks from your current place. It's furnished, has better security, and will give you peace of mind while we work on permanent solutions. What permanent solutions? Security upgrades to your actual apartment so you can return safely. Legal assistance in building a stalking case that carries real consequences. And surveillance on Ryan that will document his behavior in ways that hold up in court. It sounds too good to be true, which means it probably is. And what do you want in return? Franco leans back slightly, considering. Honesty. I told you last night that Giuseppe speaks highly of your work. That's true. I also told you that you remind me of someone. That's also true. He pauses. My brother's wife, Lucia. She had a stalker years ago. We didn't take it seriously at first. Thought it would blow over. By the time we realized how dangerous he was, it was too late. She survived, but barely. My brother didn't. The pain in his voice is genuine, unguarded for just a moment. I'm sorry. It was 2 years ago. Their son, Carlo, lives with me now. He's 6. Franco's expression softens when he mentions the child. What I want in return, Miss Collins, is to not fail someone again. I want to use resources I have to solve a problem the system can't or won't solve. That's all. But you run a criminal organization. I say it directly. Need to hear his response. I run several businesses, some of which operate outside legal frameworks. I don't deal drugs. I don't traffic people. I don't hurt anyone who doesn't hurt my family or territory first. He meets my eyes steadily. I'm not asking you to approve of everything I do. I'm asking you to accept help that's freely given. Nothing's free. Fair point. Call it payment for services rendered then. Your translations for Giuseppe are excellent. This is a retention bonus to ensure continued quality work. It's a face-saving excuse, and we both know it. But I appreciate the offer. I think about Ryan's face last night, the cold calculation in his eyes. I think about 8 months of fear, of changing my routines, of looking over my shoulder constantly. I think about Sarah's warning and Franco's admission about his brother. This temporary apartment, I say finally. How temporary? As long as you need it. A week, a month. Whatever it takes to feel safe in your own place again. And I can leave whenever I want? Just walk away? You're not a prisoner, Miss Collins. You're someone accepting assistance. There's a difference. I pull out my phone and text Jessica and Lauren. Having coffee with a new security consultant. Long story, we'll explain. Check in with you this afternoon? Both respond within seconds with thumbs up and stay safe messages. Okay, I say, looking back at Franco. I'll try it. 1 week to start, then we reassess. Franco extends his hand across the table. 1 week. His handshake is firm and warm, and when he releases my hand, I feel like I've just stepped over some invisible line I can't quite define. Anthony will take you back to your apartment to pack essentials, Franco says, standing. The secure location is ready now. You can move in today if you'd like, or wait until tonight. Today works. The thought of spending another night in my apartment, even with new locks, makes my stomach clench. Franco walks me to the door, then pauses. One more thing. I had your locks changed this morning while you were sleeping. Anthony has the new keys. You had people in my apartment while I was asleep? The violation hits me belatedly. I had a locksmith install police-grade deadbolts on your door. Your windows were also reinforced. I understand it feels invasive, but Ryan proved last night that your previous security was inadequate. He's right, but that doesn't make it feel less like an overreach. Still, new locks are better than old ones Ryan somehow bypassed. Thank you, I manage. You're welcome. And Miss Collins? This arrangement only works if you communicate. If something bothers you, tell me. If you need something, ask. If you want to leave, say so. Understood? Understood. Anthony drives me back to my apartment, waiting patiently while I pack a suitcase with clothes, toiletries, my laptop, and work materials. The new locks are impressive, solid, and gleaming. The windows have some kind of film on them now, barely visible but definitely different. I text Sarah. Packing some things. Staying in a safer place for a bit. Call you tonight with details. Her response is immediate. You better. Love you. Be smart. The secure apartment is exactly 3 blocks away, as Franco promised, in a building that looks nearly identical to mine from the outside. Inside, it's a different story. The hallway is well lit and clearly maintained, with cameras in corners and a security panel by the elevator. Anthony uses a key card to access the 3rd floor, then unlocks apartment 3B. This is yours for now, he says, handing me the card and keys. My number's programmed in the phone by the door. Any problems? Any time? You call. The apartment is bigger than mine, with a living room, full kitchen, bedroom, and bathroom that looks recently renovated. It's furnished in the same understated style as Franco's office. Comfortable but not ostentatious. A basket on the kitchen counter holds fruit, bread, and other basics. The fridge is stocked, Anthony says. If you need anything else, let me know. I'll be downstairs for a few hours. Then Mr. Ricchetti wants me to check on your building, make sure everything's secure. After he leaves, I wander through the apartment, touching furniture, opening cabinets, trying to make it feel real. Sunlight streams through windows that face a quiet side street. There's even a small desk set up in the corner of the bedroom, perfect for work. I unpack methodically, hanging clothes in the closet, setting up my laptop, arranging toiletries in the bathroom, making this temporary space mine, at least for now. My phone rings. Lauren this time. So? She says without preamble. Security consultant? It's complicated. Jessica and I want details. Lunch tomorrow? Yeah, that would be good actually. I need to talk to both of you. We'll come to you. Text us the address. After we hang up, I stand at the window, watching people walk past on the street below. Normal people doing normal Saturday things, completely unaware of the strange parallel world I've just entered. Franco Ricchetti has inserted himself into my life with smooth efficiency, providing solutions before I even fully understood the problems. Part of me wants to be grateful. Part of me wants to run. But the biggest part, the part that's been terrified for 8 months, the part that barely slept for fear of Ryan showing up again, that part just feels relieved. I pull out my phone and text Franco. Settled in. Thank you for everything. His response comes quickly. You're welcome. Rest. We'll talk Monday about next steps. I sink onto the sofa, exhaustion finally catching up with me. In the space of 12 hours, my entire situation has transformed. I have a powerful protector, a secure place to stay, and the first real hope I've felt since Ryan refused to accept our breakup. But I also have questions. About Franco's true motives, about what he expects long-term, about whether I've solved one problem by creating another. For now, though, I'm too tired to analyze. I'm just grateful to feel safe, even if that safety comes with complications I don't yet understand. 7 days pass in a strange rhythm that's both unsettling and oddly comforting. I work from the secure apartment, translating documents for my regular clients, maintaining the semblance of normal life. But Franco Ricchetti has become a daily presence, checking in each evening around 6. Always polite, always keeping just enough distance to avoid feeling invasive. Tonight marks 1 week exactly since Ryan broke into my apartment. Franco arrives precisely on schedule, carrying takeout from a Thai restaurant I mentioned liking during one of our conversations. He's traded his usual suit for dark slacks and a black sweater that makes him look less intimidating and somehow more real. I thought you might be tired of cooking, he says, setting the bag on my kitchen counter. I was actually about to order pizza for the 3rd time this week. So yes, thank you. I grab plates from the cabinet, movements becoming familiar in this space that's starting to feel less temporary. We eat at the small dining table, and the conversation flows easier than it did at the beginning of the week. Franco asks about my translation work, seems genuinely interested when I explain the nuances of translating legal Italian versus conversational Italian. I ask about his businesses, and he's surprisingly forthcoming about the legitimate ones. The restaurant, a construction company, real estate holdings throughout the North End. My grandfather came here from Sicily in 1952, Franco says, twirling pad thai onto his fork. Started with nothing. Built a life through hard work and some less legal opportunities. By the time my father took over, we'd diversified. More legitimate enterprises, less street-level operation. And you're continuing that transition, I observe. Trying to. The world changes. Organizations that don't adapt die. He pauses. My brother understood that better than I did. He was the one who wanted Carlo to grow up in a different world than we did. It's the first time Franco's mentioned his brother voluntarily. What was his name? Matteo. He was 3 years younger, smarter, kinder. Everything I should have been. The grief in Franco's voice is raw. He married Lucia when they were both 23. She was studying art history at Boston University. Art history. Like me. The parallel isn't lost on either of us. How did it happen? I ask quietly. The stalking situation you mentioned. Franco sets down his fork, staring at nothing for a moment. Lucia had a colleague who became obsessed. Started small. Extra attention. Gifts she didn't want. Then escalated. Following her home. Showing up at family events. We told her to report it. Get a restraining order. Do everything by the book. She did. It didn't matter. I wait, sensing he needs to finish this. One night, Matteo came home early from work. Found the guy in their house. There was a fight. The stalker had a knife. Franco's jaw tightens. Matteo died protecting Lucia. The stalker went to prison, but that doesn't bring my brother back. Doesn't give Carlo his father back. I'm so sorry, Franco. I tell you this because I need you to understand why I'm helping you. It's not about control or obligation. It's about not watching someone else's life destroyed when I have the power to prevent it. Before I can respond, my phone buzzes. A text from Jessica. Still on for lunch tomorrow? Lauren and I are dying to see this new place. I'd invited them over for Sunday lunch, wanting my friends to see that I'm okay, that this arrangement is working. Franco notices my expression. Friends coming over? Tomorrow afternoon. Jessica and Lauren. Is that okay? Megan, this is your apartment while you're here. You don't need my permission to have guests. But he seems pleased that I asked. After we finish eating and clean up together, Franco doesn't immediately leave like he usually does. Instead, he walks to the window overlooking the street, hands in his pockets. I need to show you something, he says. Tomorrow night, if you're willing. It's not required, and you can absolutely say no. What kind of something? There's a cultural event in the North End, a fundraiser for the Italian Community Center, supporting recent immigrant families. Music, food, networking. I attend every year, and this year I thought you might enjoy it. You'd also be able to meet some of the people I work with in a completely non-threatening context. It's an invitation to step further into his world, to be seen publicly with him. That's significant, and we both know it. Will there be other women there? Or will I be the only one accompanying I search for the right word, boss? Franco supplies with a slight smile. Yes, there will be other couples. Some business associates, some purely social. It's a legitimate community event, Megan, not a scene from a movie. Then yes, I'd like to go. Good. He turns from the window. We'll leave at 7. Dress however you're comfortable, though it tends toward semi-formal. After Franco leaves, I call Sarah as promised. We've been talking daily since the situation with Ryan, and she's been cautiously supportive of the arrangement with Franco. So he's bringing you to a community event, Sarah says. That's big, Meg. That's introducing you to his world. I know. Is that a bad thing? I don't know. How do you feel about him? The question catches me off guard because I haven't let myself fully examine the answer. He's been nothing but respectful. Kind, even. He listens when I talk, remembers details. Yesterday, he had someone bring me a specific brand of tea I mentioned liking once. And he's gorgeous and powerful and saving you from your psycho ex, Sarah adds. Classic recipe for confusing gratitude with attraction. I'm aware of that possibility. But you're attracted anyway. I sink onto the couch, pulling a throw pillow against my chest. Maybe. I don't know. It's complicated. Everything about this situation is complicated, Megan. Just be careful, okay? Guard your heart at least as much as he's guarding your safety. Sunday morning, I make a quick supervised visit to my original apartment to pick up a few more clothes. Anthony drives me, waits while I go inside. The new locks and window reinforcements are impressive, and knowing Franco had this done makes me feel both protected and aware of how much power he's wielding on my behalf. I find a deep burgundy dress that hits just below the knee, elegant, but not overly formal, perfect for tomorrow night's event. As I'm packing it, I notice an envelope slipped under my door. My blood runs cold until I open it and find a note from Mrs. Harris, my elderly neighbor, asking if I'm okay and mentioning she hasn't seen me in days. I knock on her door and spend 20 minutes assuring her I'm fine, just staying with a friend temporarily for safety reasons. She doesn't pry, just pats my hand and makes me promise to be careful. The normalcy of the interaction, the reminder that my regular life still exists outside this strange bubble, grounds me. Jessica and Lauren arrive at the secure apartment at noon, bearing wine and skeptical expressions. Okay, spill, Jessica demands the moment they're inside. Security consultant my ass. What's really going on? I tell them everything. Ryan breaking in, Franco appearing like some kind of guardian angel/crime boss, the arrangement, the growing complexity of my feelings. They listen without interrupting, which with these two means they're genuinely concerned. So you're basically under the protection of the actual Mafia, Lauren summarizes when I finish. Under the protection of someone who runs organizations that sometimes operate outside legal frameworks, I correct. Potato, potato. Jessica pours us all wine. The real question is, are you safe? And I don't just mean from Ryan. I think so. Franco's been completely professional. He's never pushed, never made me uncomfortable. But you're falling for him, Lauren observes, reading me like she always has. I don't know. Maybe. Probably. It's hard to separate gratitude from attraction when someone literally saved you from your stalker ex-boyfriend. We spend the afternoon talking, laughing, slowly easing the tension I've been carrying. When they leave around 4, promising to check in daily, I feel more anchored. These women have known me since I was 18, messy and optimistic, and convinced I'd conquer the world. They remind me of who I am outside of this situation. Monday morning, Franco texts asking if I'd like to visit my original apartment again, this time to do a walkthrough of the completed security upgrades. We meet there at 10, and I'm impressed by the thoroughness. New locks, reinforced windows, a security camera covering the hallway entrance, a panic button installed by the door. This must have cost a fortune, I say, running my fingers over the smooth metal of the deadbolt. Consider it an investment in a valuable translator's continued availability, Franco replies, but there's warmth in his eyes that has nothing to do with business. When can I move back? Whenever you feel ready. There's no rush, but the space is secure now if you want to return. I look around my small apartment, at the bookshelf and the worn couch and the desk by the window. Mine, but now marked by Ryan's intrusion and Franco's protection. Not yet. Maybe another week at the secure location. Is that okay? Take all the time you need. That evening we walk through the North End, Franco pointing out landmarks, telling stories about the neighborhood's history. We stop at a small cafe where the owner greets Franco like family, insists on making us espresso himself. The old man's eyes twinkle when he looks at me, clearly jumping to conclusions about my presence with Franco. We end up on a bench in a small park, watching children play while their parents chat in Italian. The autumn air is crisp but not cold yet, and for a moment, everything feels almost normal. Tomorrow night, Franco says. The fundraiser. I should probably mention that people will make assumptions about us, about what you are to me. And what am I to you? The question comes out braver than I feel. Franco turns to look at me directly, those dark eyes intense and honest. Right now? Someone I'm protecting. Someone I enjoy spending time with. Someone who reminds me that there's more to life than obligation and control. And tomorrow night, what will they think I am? Someone important to me. Someone under my protection, which in my world means something specific. It means you're not to be touched, not to be threatened, not to be disrespected. Like family, he agrees. Or something that could become more than that, if we both wanted it to. The admission hangs between us, honest and terrifying and thrilling all at once. I don't know what I want yet. I tell him truthfully. Everything's happened so fast. A week ago I was just trying to survive Ryan. Now I'm considering attending a North End social event with a man who runs a criminal organization. I appreciate the honesty. Franco stands, offering me his hand. No pressure, Megan. We move at whatever pace you need. Tomorrow is just an event. Nothing more unless you want it to be. I take his hand, let him pull me to my feet. His grip is warm and steady, and he doesn't immediately let go. Tomorrow at 7, I confirm. I'll pick you up at 7. As we walk back through the neighborhood, past restaurants filling with dinner crowds and shops closing for the night, I realize how much has changed. A week ago, I was terrified, isolated, alone. Now I have protection, yes, but also something else. Connection, possibility, the dangerous beginning of feelings I'm not sure I should have. Franco walks me to the door of the secure apartment building, ever the gentleman. Before I go inside, he catches my hand gently. Thank you, he says simply. For what? For trusting me, for giving this a chance, for not running when you probably should have. His thumb brushes across my knuckles, a gesture so tender it makes my breath catch. Sleep well, Megan. I watch him walk away, disappearing around the corner toward wherever he parks his car. Then I head upstairs, unlock the apartment, and stand in the middle of the living room, heart beating faster than it should. Tomorrow I'll meet his world. Tomorrow I'll take another step into something I don't fully understand. But tonight, alone in this secure space he's provided, I let myself acknowledge what I've been avoiding. I'm not just grateful to Franco Ricchetti. I'm drawn to him in ways that have nothing to do with protection and everything to do with the careful way he handles my fears, the intelligence in his conversation, the glimpses of pain and humanity beneath his controlled exterior. It's too soon. It's too complicated. It's probably a terrible idea, but that doesn't make it any less true. The burgundy dress fits perfectly. hugging my waist before flowing to just below my knees. I've curled my hair into soft waves and applied makeup more carefully than I have in months. When I look in the mirror, I barely recognize myself, not because I look so different, but because I look alive again. Not haunted, not scared, just a woman getting ready for an event with someone who makes her feel safe. Franco arrives at exactly 7, and the look on his face when I open the door makes all the effort worthwhile. He's wearing a charcoal suit with a burgundy tie that almost matches my dress, and I wonder if that was intentional or happy coincidence. "You look beautiful," he says simply, offering his arm. "You clean up pretty well yourself." The drive to the North End takes 15 minutes, and Franco fills me in on what to expect. It's at the Italian Community Center on Hanover Street. About 200 people, mix of families and business associates. There will be food from local restaurants, music, a silent auction to raise money for immigrant assistance programs. And everyone there will know who you are. Most will. Some are friends from childhood, some are business connections, some are just community members who respect what my family does for the neighborhood. He glances at me. "You'll be safe, Megan. I promise." The community center is a beautiful old building with arched windows and ornate stonework. Inside, it's been transformed with white lights strung across the ceiling, round tables covered in white linens, and a small stage where a quartet plays Italian standards. The room buzzes with conversation in English and Italian, the air rich with the scent of garlic and basil and fresh bread. Heads turn when we enter. Not obviously, but I feel the shift, the awareness rippling through the crowd. Franco keeps his hand at the small of my back, proprietary but gentle, guiding me through clusters of people toward the bar. "Champagne?" he asks. "Please." While he orders drinks, I scan the room. The attendees are exactly as Franco described. Families with children, older couples who look like they've known each other for decades, younger professionals networking. Nothing sinister, just a community gathering. But I also notice the way certain men nod to Franco with particular respect, the way their wives assess me with keen interest. Franco hands me a glass and introduces me to the first group. "Giuseppe, Carla, this is Megan Collins. She's the translator I mentioned, the one who's been doing such excellent work for the restaurant." Giuseppe, the owner of Ristorante Bella Vita, greets me warmly. His wife Carla is a tiny woman with sharp eyes and a warm smile. "So you're the one," she says in lightly accented English. "Giuseppe has been singing your praises for months. Says you understand the soul of the language, not just the words." "That's kind of him," I manage, flushing slightly. "And now Franco has good taste as well as good business sense," Carla adds, her eyes twinkling. The implication is clear and completely intentional. We move through the room, Franco introducing me to what feels like half of Boston's Italian community. There's Antonio Bellini, who owns a construction company, Maria and Thomas Santoro, who run a nonprofit helping recent immigrants navigate legal and social services, Dr. Lucia Costa, who operates a clinic in the neighborhood. Each introduction comes with Franco's hand remaining at my back. Each conversation includes careful assessment from his associates. I'm not naive. These people are trying to figure out who I am to Franco, what my presence here means. Some glances are curious, others calculating. But no one is rude, and most seem genuinely welcoming once they realize I can hold basic conversations in Italian. "Your Italian is excellent," Maria Santoro comments after we discuss the challenges of medical translation. "Where did you study?" "Boston University for my degree, then a semester in Florence. I've been keeping up with it ever since through work and personal interest." "Florence is beautiful," she says with genuine warmth. "My family is from Tuscany originally. You must miss it. Every day, I admit, and it's true. Those 6 months in Italy remain some of the happiest of my life." Franco excuses us to get food from the buffet, which is overflowing with catered dishes from North End restaurants. Fresh mozzarella and tomatoes, pasta in half a dozen styles, roasted vegetables, grilled meats, and desserts that make my mouth water just looking at them. We find seats at a table with 2 other couples. Franco introduces them as lifelong friends, people he grew up with in the neighborhood. The conversation flows easily, touching on local politics, community issues, upcoming holidays. It's so normal that I almost forget Franco's other life, the part that operates in shadows and unspoken agreements. Then someone mentions a recent dispute between two restaurant owners that was resolved amicably, and one of the men glances at Franco with unmistakable gratitude. Franco just nods once, and the subject changes. The exchange lasts maybe 5 seconds, but it's a reminder. These people respect Franco not just as a community member, but as someone who wields real power. After dinner, the music shifts to something more upbeat, and couples begin dancing. Franco stands and offers his hand. "I should warn you, I'm not a great dancer," I say. "Neither am I, but we'll survive." On the dance floor, he pulls me close but not uncomfortably so, one hand at my waist, the other holding mine. We sway more than actually dance, moving to the rhythm of a classic Italian love song I half recognize. "Thank you for coming tonight," Franco says quietly. "I know it's not easy, being on display like this. It's not as bad as I thought it would be. Everyone's been nice. They're good people. Most of them anyway. They take care of their own, protect their community. It's why I do what I do." I look up at him, this complicated man who's inserted himself into my life so completely. "Do you ever wish you could just walk away from all of it? Have a normal life?" Franco considers the question seriously. "Sometimes. But this is my family's legacy, my responsibility. Carlo's future depends on the choices I make now. And honestly, I don't know if I'd be any good at normal. You're good at this." I gesture around the room. "Community, connections, making people feel valued. That's the easy part. It's the rest that gets complicated." The song ends, and before another can begin, a small commotion near the entrance draws attention. A man has arrived, clearly late, and he's making his way through the crowd toward Franco. He's older, maybe 60, with silver hair and an expensive suit. But it's his expression that catches my attention. Urgent, worried. Franco tenses beside me, his body language shifting from relaxed to alert in an instant. "Excuse me," he says, guiding me back to our table before crossing to meet the man halfway. They speak quietly, too low for me to hear, but I watch Franco's face harden. He glances back at me once, then nods to the man and returns to the table. "I'm sorry," Franco says, his tone apologetic but firm. "There's something I need to handle. It's not dangerous, just business that requires immediate attention. Anthony will drive you home, and I'll call later if that's acceptable. Is everything okay?" "It will be. Just an issue that can't wait." He cups my cheek briefly, a gesture so tender it takes my breath away. "I'm sorry to cut the evening short." "I understand. Go do what you need to do." Franco signals to Anthony, who appears instantly at my side. As Franco leaves with the silver-haired man, I catch fragments of their conversation, something about O'Sullivan and a message. The name sends a chill through me. I remember Franco mentioning the O'Sullivan family, an Irish organization, in the context of Ryan's debts. The connection between Ryan and his stalking and whatever just pulled Franco away from this event hits me suddenly. Anthony drives me back to the secure apartment in silence. Inside, I change out of my dress into comfortable clothes and make tea, trying to process the evening. The event itself was wonderful. I'd enjoyed meeting people, speaking Italian, feeling like part of something larger than myself. But the abrupt ending reminded me that Franco's world contains elements I'm not privy to. Dangers I only glimpse in moments like that urgent conversation. My phone rings around 10. Franco's name on the screen. "Are you okay?" I ask immediately. "I'm fine. Just finishing up some business. I wanted to apologize again for leaving." "You don't need to apologize. I understand you have responsibilities. I don't want you to think I abandoned you. That's not..." He pauses, searching for words. "You matter, Megan. More than I probably should admit. Tonight meant something to me, having you there. My heart does something complicated in my chest. It meant something to me, too." "Good. That's good." He sounds relieved. "I'll see you tomorrow? I have something I'd like to discuss with you." "What kind of something?" "Nothing bad. Just an invitation, an opportunity. We'll talk in person." After we hang up, I sit on the couch with my cooling tea, thinking about the evening, about Franco's friends and associates, the way they welcomed me. the sense of community that permeates the North End. About the moment on the dance floor when everything felt simple and possible, and about the sudden departure that reminded me nothing about this situation is truly simple. My phone buzzes with a text. Not Franco this time, but an unknown number. Saw you tonight with Richetti. Interesting choice, Megan. Does he know about us? About everything we shared? You can't hide behind him forever. R. Ryan. Somehow Ryan knows where I was tonight, who I was with. The security of the past 2 weeks evaporates in an instant, replaced by the familiar cold fear. I screenshot the message and immediately call Franco. He answers on the first ring. What's wrong? I read him the message, my voice shaking slightly. How did he know? How could he possibly know where I was? Franco's voice turns to ice. Forward me that screenshot. Right now. I do, hearing him curse softly in Italian when it comes through. Stay in the apartment. Don't open the door for anyone except Anthony. I'm sending him there now, and I'm going to make some calls. Franco, what does this mean? It means Ryan's behavior is escalating, which we expected. It also means he has either been following you, which seems unlikely given the security, or he has information about my activities, which is concerning for different reasons. The O'Sullivan family. You mentioned Ryan owes them money. There's a brief silence. You're perceptive. Yes, there's a possibility this is connected to larger issues. But that's my problem to solve, not yours. Your problem is staying safe, which means following my instructions. Can you do that? Yes. Good. Anthony will be there in 10 minutes. Tomorrow we need to discuss next steps, including possibly accelerating some plans I had for dealing with Ryan permanently. Permanently? Legally, Franco clarifies. I promise you, Megan, everything I do will be within bounds that won't come back to hurt you. But this ends soon. He's not going to terrorize you anymore. After Franco hangs up, I pace the apartment, adrenaline making it impossible to sit still. The beautiful evening has curdled into something dark and threatening. Ryan's message wasn't just harassment. It was a demonstration of reach, a reminder that he's still out there, still watching, still fixated. When Anthony arrives, he does a full sweep of the apartment, checks all the locks, and then positions himself in the living room with a clear view of the door. Mr. Richetti wants me here tonight, he says. I'll be on the couch. You try to get some sleep. I don't think I can sleep after that message. Understandable. But you're safe here, Miss Collins. I guarantee it. I retreat to the bedroom but leave the door open, comforted by Anthony's presence in the other room. I lie in bed fully clothed, phone in hand, jumping at every small sound. Around midnight, Franco texts. Ryan's phone has been tracked to South Boston. Someone's with him, possibly O'Sullivan Associates. I'm handling it. You're safe. Trust me. I want to ask what handling it means. Want to know exactly what Franco's doing and how it involves the mysterious O'Sullivan connection. But I also know that some questions are better left unasked. That plausible deniability exists for reasons. Instead, I text back. I trust you. Be careful. His response is immediate. Always. Sleep, Megan. Tomorrow we talk about permanent solutions. I finally drift off sometime after 2, exhausted by fear and adrenaline and the emotional whiplash of the evening. I dream of dancing with Franco in the community center. But in the dream, the music distorts, and Ryan appears at the edges of the crowd, watching. Always watching. When I wake Sunday morning, Anthony is still on the couch, alert, despite the early hour. He's on the phone speaking quietly, and when he sees I'm awake, he ends the call. Mr. Richetti wants to meet you at your original apartment at 11, Anthony says. He has news about your situation. Good news, he wants me to tell you. What kind of good news? He'll explain in person, but the immediate threat has been addressed. I shower and dress in jeans and a sweater, armor against whatever this day brings. When Anthony drives me to my original apartment at 11, Franco is already there, leaning against the hallway wall outside my door. He looks tired but satisfied, the expression of someone who's accomplished something difficult. Come inside, he says, unlocking my door with the keys I'd given him for the security upgrades. We need to talk about what happens next. Inside my apartment, Franco gestures for me to sit on the couch while he remains standing, pacing slightly like he's organizing his thoughts. Ryan Bennett is currently being questioned by police in connection with stalking, harassment, and making threats. Franco begins without preamble. They have documentation of over 300 attempted contacts, evidence of breaking into your apartment, and as of last night, proof that he's been working with individuals associated with organized crime to gather information about you and me. How did you get all that? I have people who are very good at documentation. And Ryan made mistakes last night. Mistakes that gave us everything we needed to build a case that will actually stick. The O'Sullivan family? Franco nods. Ryan owed them $50,000. They offered to forgive the debt in exchange for information about me, specifically about people I care about who might be used as leverage. You became that person when you appeared with me last night. The implications make me cold. They were planning to use me against you. They were considering it. But that situation has been resolved. His tone suggests I shouldn't ask how. What matters is that Ryan's association with them, his attempts to gather intelligence, and his continued harassment of you after multiple warnings now constitute a pattern that the legal system can't ignore. So he'll be arrested? He's being arrested as we speak. The charges are serious, Megan. Federal stalking charges, conspiracy, violating restraining orders. He's looking at real prison time, not just probation or fines. Relief floods through me, so intense I feel dizzy. It's really over? Franco sits beside me on the couch, taking my hand. It's really over. Ryan won't be able to contact you from jail, and by the time he gets out, if he gets out anytime soon, you'll have moved on with your life completely. I realize I'm crying, tears of relief streaming down my face. Franco pulls me against his chest, holding me while I shake with the release of months of accumulated fear. Thank you, I whisper against his suit jacket. Thank you for ending this. You're welcome. But Megan, we need to talk about what this means. About us. I pull back to look at him, wiping tears from my cheeks. What do you mean? Last night, before Ryan's message, I was going to ask if you'd consider extending our arrangement. Not just the security, but getting to know each other properly. Dating, if you want to use conventional terms. My heart races for entirely different reasons now. You want to date me? I want to spend time with you without the excuse of protection. I want to take you to dinner, to cultural events, to simple walks through the city. I want to see if this thing between us, this connection I feel, is real or just circumstantial. And if it's real, Franco's smile is genuine and slightly uncertain. A rare vulnerability. Then we figure out what that means together. No pressure, no obligations. Just two people seeing where things might go. I think about the past 2 weeks. The fear, yes, but also the moments of connection. The conversations that ran late into the evening. The sense of being seen and valued in ways I'd forgotten were possible. I'd like that, I say. But Franco, I need honesty. About your world, about the risks, about what being with you really means. You have it. Complete honesty, even when the truth is complicated. He squeezes my hand. I can't promise you a simple life, Megan, but I can promise you'll always be safe, always be respected, and always have the choice to walk away if it becomes too much. Then yes, let's try this. Let's see what we are outside of crisis and protection. Franco leans in slowly, giving me time to pull away, and kisses me. It's gentle and searching, a question and an answer all at once. When we break apart, we're both smiling. So what happens now? I ask. Now you decide. Do you want to move back here? Or stay at the secure apartment while we date like normal people? Do you want to keep translating for Giuseppe? Or would you like to take on additional work with my legitimate businesses? Do you want to meet Carlo? Or is that too fast? The future spreads out before me, full of possibility instead of fear. For the first time in months, I can breathe freely. Let's start slow, I say. Dinner this week, just the two of us. Then we'll figure out the rest. Dinner sounds perfect. 3 weeks into this strange new reality, and I wake to the sound of Franco's voice drifting through the apartment. He's on the phone in the kitchen, speaking rapid Italian that I'm beginning to understand more naturally. Something about debts, territories, negotiations. The words wash over me as I stretch beneath sheets that smell faintly of his cologne, a scent I've grown dangerously accustomed to. When I emerge, he's already dressed in one of those impeccable charcoal suits, but his expression carries weight I haven't seen before. He ends the call the moment he sees me. "Coffee?" he offers, already pouring. "What happened?" I ask, accepting the mug. The ceramic warms my palms. Franco leans against the counter, and for a moment he looks every bit the dangerous man I know he is. My investigator confirmed everything. The O'Sullivan family offered Ryan full debt forgiveness, $50,000 erased completely, if he delivers information about my operations or brings you to them as leverage. The coffee suddenly tastes bitter. Me specifically? You specifically. His jaw tightens. They know you matter to me. That makes you valuable. I should feel afraid.
Instead, anger sparks hot in my chest. So what do we do? He raises an eyebrow, something almost like pride flickering across his features. I'm meeting with the O'Sullivan leadership today, making it abundantly clear that you're under
permanent protection of the Ricchetti family. Untouchable. Can I come? Absolutely not. But his tone softens. This is my world handling its own politics. They'll respect the boundary once it's established, or they'll face consequences they can't afford. 4 hours later, Franco returns looking satisfied but exhausted. He doesn't offer details, just pulls me close in a way that feels less like protection and more like need. "It's handled," he murmurs against my hair. O'Sullivan backed down, but Ryan's now a liability to them too. He failed, which makes him dangerous to everyone. That should comfort me. It doesn't. The next afternoon, Franco asks if I want to meet Carlo properly. Not just a brief mention or passing introduction, but actual time together. I agree before I fully process what I'm agreeing to. Carlo is small for 6, with Franco's dark hair and eyes that seem far too old for his face. He watches me cautiously from behind Franco's leg when we arrive at the main house, a sprawling place in a neighborhood that radiates old money and older secrets. "Carlo, this is Megan," Franco says gently, crouching to the boy's level. "Remember I told you about her?" The child nods but doesn't speak. I kneel down too, making myself less imposing. "Hi, Carlo. Your uncle tells me you like building things?" A tiny spark of interest. "Legos. I used to build Lego cities when I was younger," I say honestly. "Could you show me what you're working on?" It takes 20 minutes, but eventually Carlo leads me to his room, a space that's clearly been designed with love. Shelves of books, art supplies organized in bins, a window seat overlooking a garden, and Legos. So many Legos. As Carlo explains his elaborate spaceship construction, I glance back to see Franco watching from the doorway. The expression on his face isn't the controlled mask he shows the world. It's unguarded, vulnerable. He looks at this child like Carlo is his entire universe. "Did you lose someone?" Carlo asks suddenly, his small voice cutting through my thoughts. I blink. "What?" "Uncle Franco lost my dad, his brother. He gets sad sometimes but pretends he doesn't." Carlo fits 2 pieces together with focused precision. "You have the same sad eyes, out of the mouths of children." I swallow hard. "Yeah, I lost someone. My mom when I was 15. A long time ago. But it still hurts sometimes." Carlo considers this, then hands me a Lego brick. "You can help build the engine room." We spend 2 hours constructing spaceships and talking about everything and nothing. Carlo tells me about school, his favorite teacher, how Anthony lets him sit in the front seat sometimes, but only in the driveway. He tells me Franco reads to him every night, even when he's busy, and that his uncle makes the best pancakes but terrible grilled cheese. When Franco finally says it's time for Carlo's homework, the boy hugs me without hesitation. Small arms wrap around my waist, trusting and warm. "Can Megan come back?" he asks Franco. "If she wants to," Franco says, looking at me. "I want to," I hear myself say. That evening, Franco takes me to a restaurant I recognize, upscale Italian, the kind with tablecloths that cost more than my monthly grocery budget. But we're not here to eat. We're here because 3 men in expensive suits are waiting at a corner table. "Associates," Franco murmurs as we approach. People I trust with my life, and I'm trusting them with yours. The introductions are formal. Luca, older with silver threading his temples. Marcus, younger but with eyes that miss nothing. Sal, somewhere in between, with a handshake that's firm but not aggressive. Gentlemen, this is Megan Collins, Franco says, his hand resting at the small of my back. She's important to me, permanently. The word choice is deliberate. I feel it in the way the three men's expressions shift, recognition settling in. Pleasure to meet you properly, Ms. Collins, Luca says smoothly. Franco's told us about your work as a translator. Impressive credentials. We talk business, surprisingly. They ask intelligent questions about language acquisition, cultural nuances in Italian regional dialects, the difference between translating text versus interpreting conversation. They treat me like I have value beyond being Franco's, whatever I am. When we leave, Franco's hand finds mine. You handled that perfectly. Were they testing me? Absolutely. He smiles, rare and genuine. You passed. The call from Sarah comes 2 days later, her voice tight with controlled panic. Megan, I need you to stay calm. Ryan called me. I don't know how he got my new number, but he did. My blood runs cold. What did he say? That he knows I'm your sister. That he just wants to talk to you. That he's worried about you being manipulated by dangerous people. Sarah exhales shakily. I told him to lose my number and hung up. Then I called you immediately. You did exactly right, I tell her, even as my hands start trembling. I need to tell Franco. Megan, what have you gotten into? I'll explain everything. Just, are you safe? Is Marcus safe? Her husband, steady and kind, probably has no idea his wife just got dragged into this mess. We're fine, but I'm coming to visit. This weekend. I need to see you're okay with my own eyes. Franco's response when I tell him is immediate and controlled. He makes 3 phone calls in Italian, each one progressively more tense. Then he turns to me. Sarah and her husband will have discreet security from the moment they leave Boston until they return. They won't see them, but they'll be protected. Is that necessary? Ryan is desperate, Megan. Desperate men do desperate things. He cups my face gently. I won't risk your family. Any of it. Sarah arrives Friday evening with Marcus, both of them looking wary. My sister takes one look at the apartment, at Franco standing in the kitchen, and her protective instincts flare visibly. But Franco disarms her systematically. He's respectful, calling her Ms. Collins, until she insists on Sarah. He asks about Marcus's work as an architect, engages in genuine conversation about structural engineering. He cooks dinner, pasta carbonara that makes Sarah grudgingly admit it's the best she's ever had. So, Sarah says finally, wine glass in hand, you're the Mafia boss protecting my little sister. Sarah, I protest. But Franco doesn't flinch. I am, and I understand your concerns. If I were in your position, I'd have many questions. Just one, actually. Sarah leans forward. Do you care about her? Really care. Not just as a responsibility or whatever this started as? Franco looks at me, and everything he hasn't said out loud lives in that gaze. More than I thought I was capable of caring about anyone except Carlo. The honesty of it steals my breath. Sarah studies him for a long moment, then nods slowly. Okay. But I'm calling once a week, Megan. Non-negotiable. Deal. I whisper. That night, after Sarah and Marcus are settled in the guest room, Franco and I stand on the apartment balcony. The city sprawls below us, lights like scattered diamonds. Thank you, I say quietly, for how you handled tonight, for protecting Sarah. She's your family. That makes her my responsibility too. I turn to face him fully. 3 weeks ago, this man was a stranger. Now everything feels too intense, too fast, but also inevitable, like gravity. Franco, He kisses me before I finish, and it's different from the brief kiss in the kitchen days ago. This is deliberate, consuming. A question and answer all at once. His hands frame my face like I'm something precious, and I lean into it, into him, letting myself fall completely. When we break apart, his forehead rests against mine. Tell me this is what you want. Not because you need protection, not because you're grateful, because you want this. Want me. I want this. I breathe. I want you. It terrifies me, but I want it. Good, he murmurs. Because I'm not letting you go. Later, much later, I lie in Franco's bed with his arm around me, his breathing deep and even in sleep. My phone glows with a text from Sarah. He really loves you. I can see it. Be careful, but I think you'll be okay. I close my eyes, feeling the steady rhythm of Franco's heartbeat against my back, and let myself believe it. 4 weeks into this nightmare, and the call comes at 6 a.m. Franco's phone buzzes against the nightstand, pulling us both from sleep. I watch his face shift from peaceful to stone-hard in seconds as he answers in clipped Italian. When he hangs up, his knuckles are white against the phone. Ryan tried to get to Carlo at school yesterday. Security stopped him, but he escaped before police arrived. The words hit me like ice water. Not Carlo. Anyone but that innocent child who builds Lego spaceships and asks questions about sadness, with eyes too knowing for 6 years old. Where is he now? I ask, already moving to get dressed. Home. Safe. But we're going into full lockdown until this ends. Franco's voice carries an edge I haven't heard before. Not anger, but something colder, more dangerous. Everyone under protection stays in secured locations. No exceptions. Within hours, Carlo arrives at the apartment with Anthony and 2 other guards I don't recognize. The boy's face is pale, confused, clutching a backpack decorated with cartoon characters that seem obscenely cheerful given the circumstances. When he sees me, he runs over and wraps his arms around my waist without hesitation. Megan, why can't I go to school? He asks, voice small. I kneel down, meeting his eyes. Just for a little while, buddy. Your uncle wants to make sure you're extra safe right now. Because of the bad man? Children see more than we give them credit for. Yeah, because of the bad man. But you're safe here with us, okay? I promise. Franco watches this exchange, jaw tight. Later, when Carlo's occupied with his toys in the living room, Franco pulls me aside. I need you to stay here too. Don't leave this building for any reason. No. The word comes out firmer than I intend. I'm not sitting here doing nothing while Ryan escalates. I can help, Franco. Let me help. This isn't a negotiation. Yes, it is. I step closer, refusing to back down. I have skills you need. I speak Italian. I can interpret communications your team intercepts. Ryan's working with O'Sullivan's people, and some of them use Italian in their operations. You told me that yourself. Franco studies me, conflict playing across his features, protection versus partnership, control versus trust. If I let you do this, he says slowly, you follow every security protocol. No arguments, no exceptions. Deal. The work starts immediately. Franco's tech specialist, a thin man named David who rarely makes eye contact, sets up equipment in the study. Intercepted phone calls, text messages, email fragments, all flowing through from various sources within Franco's network. Some of it's in English, but crucial pieces are in Italian, often deliberately obscure. I spend hours listening to recordings, translating coded phrases. The package arrives Thursday actually means weapons shipment. Meeting the cousins for dinner refers to a sit-down with rival family members. It's exhausting, meticulous work, but I lose myself in it. Finally, I'm not just the protected. I'm actively fighting back. 3 days into the lockdown, I find it. A conversation between 2 O'Sullivan associates discussing an event in vague terms, but the Italian phrases they use tell a different story. They mention Il Gala di Carità, the charity gala. Franco's hosting one next week, a high-profile event he can't easily cancel without looking weak or scared. They're planning something at your gala, I tell Franco, pulling him into the study. Listen to this part. I play the recording, translating as it goes. The men discuss positioning, timing, creating chaos to send a message. One mentions Ryan specifically. Il cane rabbioso, the rabid dog. They're using him as their weapon, expendable and desperate. Franco's expression darkens with each word. They're going to use Ryan to attack the gala, make it look like a lone stalker while O'Sullivan benefits from the chaos. Can you cancel it? No. Canceling shows weakness, and weakness invites more attacks. He paces, mind clearly working through scenarios. But we can use this, set a trap. Over the next 2 days, we plan meticulously. Franco coordinates with his security team and carefully selected police contacts, officers who owe him favors or share mutual interests in keeping organized crime from spiraling into public violence. The gala will proceed as scheduled, but with layers of hidden protection. Plainclothes officers mixed with guests, sniper positions on surrounding buildings, exit routes mapped and secured. And me. Franco wants me nowhere near the event, but I push back hard. Ryan's obsessed with me, I argue. If I'm there, he'll focus on me. Predictable. You can control that. Absolutely not. I won't use you as bait. I'm not asking permission, Franco. I soften my tone, reaching for his hand. I'm telling you I'm doing this. With or without your approval. We end this now. Together. Or it never ends. The word together shifts something in his face. He closes his eyes, exhales slowly. When he looks at me again, it's with resignation mixed with something deeper. Respect, maybe. Or fear of losing me. If we do this, you wear a wire. You stay in Anthony's sight at all times. The second anything feels wrong, you leave. Those are my terms. I can live with those terms. Carlo, blessedly unaware of the specifics, accepts our explanation that he's staying with Franco's most trusted associate and his family for a few days. People who have a big house and 3 dogs. The distraction works well enough. As we say goodbye, Carlo hugs me tight. You're coming back, right? He asks. Of course I am. I promised I'd help you finish that spaceship, didn't I? The night of the gala arrives wrapped in unseasonable warmth. I wear a dress Franco had delivered. Deep burgundy. Elegant without being flashy. It makes me feel like I'm playing a role in someone else's life. Anthony fits me with the wire. A tiny microphone barely visible beneath the fabric. You stay close to the east wall, Anthony instructs, his usual quiet demeanor intensified by focus. That gives you clearest exit routes and best sight lines for our team. Mr. Ricchetti will remain visible but mobile. If anything happens, we move first. You follow. The venue is stunning. A converted warehouse turned art gallery space with exposed brick, soft lighting, and enough wealthy donors to fund several charities over. I recognize some faces from news articles, others from previous events I've attended with Franco. Everyone smiles, drinks champagne, pretends this is just another glamorous evening. Franco appears at my side, devastating in a black suit that probably costs more than my entire year's rent used to. You look beautiful, he murmurs, hand settling at the small of my back. And terrified. Can you blame me? No. But you're the bravest person I know. He leans in, lips brushing my ear. This ends tonight. Then we can finally breathe. The first hour passes without incident. I make small talk with donors, accept compliments on my dress, sip water pretending it's wine. Franco works the room like the professional he is, shaking hands, making connections. To anyone watching, it's a perfect evening. Then I see him. Ryan, dressed in catering staff uniform, moving along the far wall with a tray of empty glasses. He looks thinner than I remember, eyes sunken and fevered. When his gaze finds mine across the room, something in his expression shifts, triumph mixed with madness. I don't run. Instead, I touch the wire, subtle signal to the team monitoring. Franco's already moving, having spotted Ryan seconds after I did. But Ryan's faster than expected, abandoning the tray and pulling something from his jacket. Gun. Small caliber, but deadly enough in a crowded room. Panic ripples through nearby guests as they register the weapon. Ryan moves toward me, singularly focused, and I force myself to stand still. Predictable, I remind myself. Be predictable so they can control this. Megan? Ryan's voice cracks across the space. You need to come with me. Now. These people are lying to you, manipulating you. Ryan, put the gun down. I keep my voice steady, watching Anthony approach from Ryan's blind spot. This isn't going to end the way you think. You don't understand. I'm trying to save you. He's close now. Maybe 15 feet away. Close enough that I can see his hands shaking. He's dangerous, Megan. He'll destroy you like he destroys everything. Anthony moves. Fast, efficient, disarming Ryan before he can fully react. The gun clatters across the polished floor as Anthony forces Ryan down, knee in his back. Other security personnel materialize from the crowd, and suddenly uniformed police are there too, moving in with practiced coordination. Ryan struggles, screaming incoherently about conspiracies and corruption. As they haul him upright, cuffing his hands, he looks at me one last time. Not with anger or obsession anymore. Just emptiness. I loved you, he says, pathetic and broken. No, I reply quietly. You never did. You don't even know what that word means. The police take him away. An officer I recognize from Franco's contacts, Detective Martinez, approaches us afterward. We've got him on multiple charges, she says, voice professional but warm. Breaking and entering, stalking, unlawful possession of a firearm, attempted assault. Plus, when we searched his apartment earlier today with a warrant, we found evidence of communications with known criminals. Federal charges are likely. He won't see freedom for a very long time, Mr. Ricchetti. Franco nods, hand finding mine. Thank you, Detective. As the gala slowly returns to normalcy, or the appearance of it, Franco guides me out to a quieter hallway. His composure finally cracks, pulling me into his arms so tightly I can barely breathe. Don't ever do that again, he says against my hair. Don't ever put yourself in danger like that for me. For us, I correct. I did it for us. For Carlo. For the life we're trying to build. He pulls back enough to look at me, and in his eyes I see everything he hasn't said. Fear, relief, love so fierce. It's almost frightening. I can't lose you. You understand that? I can't. You won't. I cup his face, feeling the tension in his jaw. Ryan's gone. O'Sullivan backed off. It's over, Franco. It's finally over. Is it? His voice drops lower. Because my world doesn't stop having dangers just because this one's resolved. There will always be something, someone, some threat. Can you live with that? Really live with it? The question hangs between us, heavy with implication. This is the moment of truth, the choice between safety and love, between the life I knew and the life I'm choosing. Yes, I say without hesitation, because I'm not living without you. Whatever comes, we face it together. He kisses me then, desperate and relieved, and I taste the fear he'd been holding back all night. When we break apart, his forehead rests against mine. Together, he repeats, like a vow. Always together. Later, after we've collected Carlo from his temporary guardians and returned home, the three of us sit in Franco's living room. Carlo, exhausted and confused by the disrupted routine, falls asleep curled between us on the couch. Franco's arm wraps around both of us, protective and possessive. This is what I was afraid of, he admits quietly, caring this much, having this much to lose. But you have it now, I reply, resting my head on his shoulder. We both do, and that's worth the fear. He kisses the top of my head, hand gently smoothing Carlo's dark hair. Yeah, he murmurs. It really is. The art gallery is a fortress disguised as a sanctuary of culture. From the outside, it looks exactly like what the invitation promised. An exclusive vernissage for a reclusive Italian sculptor, complete with valet parking and a red carpet that bleeds onto the damp pavement. But I know better. I know that the man parking the black sedan 3 cars down is wearing a tactical vest under his jacket. I know the waiters circulating with trays of champagne are Anthony's men, their eyes scanning waistbands and pockets instead of empty glasses. And I know that I am not here to admire marble statues. I am here to be hunted. Breathe, Franco whispers against my ear, his hand resting on the small of my back. His touch is the only thing grounding me to the floor, which feels like it's tilting beneath my heels. You are trembling. I'm terrified, I admit, keeping my voice low. The wire taped to my chest itches against my skin, a constant physical reminder of the danger we court. He's going to come, isn't he? He really believes I'm here to meet him. He believes what he wants to believe. That is his weakness, and our advantage. Franco's thumb strokes the silk of my dress, a rhythmic motion that contrasts with the lethal alertness in his eyes. He looks devastating tonight, a king in a bespoke tuxedo. But the predator beneath the polish is closer to the surface than I have ever seen. Anthony has the perimeter. I have you. Nothing touches you tonight, Megan. Not even a shadow. I nod, forcing my shoulders to drop. We move into the main hall, a cavernous space with high industrial ceilings and stark white walls that make the art pop with aggressive clarity. The crowd is a mix of Franco's legitimate business associates, curious socialites, and undercover officers who stick out to me only because I know what to look for. To anyone else, they are just bored husbands dragging their feet. For an hour, we play the part. I smile until my cheeks ache. I translate pleasantries for an elderly Italian investor who pretends not to speak English. I sip sparkling water that pretends to be Prosecco. But every time the heavy glass doors at the entrance swing open, my heart hammers against my ribs like a trapped bird. Then, the shift happens. It's subtle. A ripple in the energy of the room. Anthony, standing near a sculpture of a twisted torso, touches his earpiece. He doesn't look at us, but his posture stiffens. He's here, Franco says softly. He doesn't need an earpiece to know. His instincts are tuned to a frequency of danger I am only just beginning to hear. North entrance. He bypassed the valet. Is he armed? We have to assume yes. Remember the plan, Megan. Do not engage until he commits. We need the threat to be undeniable for the warrant to stick. I swallow the lump of acid in my throat and separate from Franco. This is the hardest part. To be the bait, I have to be alone. I walk towards the quieter section of the gallery, a narrow corridor displaying smaller busts. My heels click on the polished concrete, counting down the seconds. The air here is cooler, the noise of the party fading into a distant hum. I stop in front of a piece called The Fall. It's fitting. Megan. The voice is ragged, familiar in a way that makes my skin crawl. I turn slowly, fighting the urge to run, forcing myself to stay in the spotlight of the track lighting. Ryan stands 10 feet away. He looks nothing like the man I dated briefly in college, nothing like the polished professional he pretended to be. He looks eroded. His clothes are disheveled, a jacket that's too big for him, and his eyes are wide, darting frantically around the empty corridor before locking onto me with a terrifying intensity. You came, he breathes, stepping closer. A smile twists his face, but it doesn't reach those feverish eyes. I knew you would. I knew you'd understand eventually. Ryan, I say, my voice steady despite the adrenaline flooding my system. You need to leave. You can't be here. No, you don't get it. He shakes his head, a violent motion. I'm here to save you. That man, Richetti, he's poisoning you, Megan. He's a criminal. A monster. I've seen the files. I know what he is. He's the man protecting me from you. I counter, stepping back as he advances. Every step he takes is being recorded. Every word is being transmitted to the team waiting in the wings. You broke into my house, Ryan. You threatened my sister. You tried to get to a 6-year-old child. That's not love. That's sickness. His face contorts, the smile vanishing into a snarl of rage. I did what I had to do. To wake you up. You think you have a choice? You think he loves you? He owns you. I'm the only one who sees you, Megan. The real you. He's close now. Too close. I can smell the stale sweat and desperation on him. He reaches into his jacket pocket, and time seems to liquefy, slowing down to an agonizing crawl. I see the glint of metal. Come with me, he commands, his voice rising to a shout. He pulls the gun, a small black pistol that shakes in his grip. Now! Or I swear to God, I'll make sure no one else can have you. Drop the weapon. The command booms from everywhere and nowhere. Ryan flinches, spinning around. But it's too late. The trap snaps shut. Franco steps out from behind a partition, his movement fluid and silent. He has a gun trained on Ryan, steady as stone. Simultaneously, Anthony and 3 other men materialize from the shadows of the gallery, blocking every exit. They don't shout. They don't panic. They are professionals dismantling an amateur. It's over, Bennett, Franco says, his tone conversational, almost bored, which is more terrifying than any scream. Put it down before you make a mistake you won't live to regret. Ryan looks wild, cornered. He swings the gun back toward me, his hand trembling violently. Stay back. I'll kill her. I'll do it. I don't move. I stare at him, refusing to give him the satisfaction of my fear. You've already lost, Ryan. Look around you. You betrayed me! He screams, tears streaking down his flushed face. I did everything for you. I took the money from O'Sullivan for you, to get us away. You sold me to my enemies, I say, the realization making me cold. That's not saving me. That's trading me. Drop the gun. Franco takes a step forward. The threat in his voice is absolute. Ryan sobs, a broken, pathetic sound. And for a second, I think he's going to fire. I see his finger tighten on the trigger. But Anthony is faster. He moves with a speed that blurs the air, striking Ryan's wrist with a baton I didn't even see him draw. The crack of bone is audible. Ryan screams, the gun clattering across the floor, sliding harmlessly toward the wall. Before he can draw a breath, he is face down on the concrete, Anthony's knee pressed into his spine, hands wrenched behind his back. Clear, Anthony barks. The gallery doors burst open, not with guests, but with uniformed police officers. Detective Martinez is at the front, her badge catching the gallery lights. They swarm the corridor, a sea of blue uniforms taking custody of the broken man on the floor. I lean back against the wall, my legs suddenly turning to water. The adrenaline is crashing, leaving me hollow and shaking. Franco is there instantly. He holsters his weapon and pulls me into him, shielding me from the sight of Ryan being hauled to his feet. His arms are a vice, holding me together when I feel like I might shatter. I've got you, he murmurs into my hair. I've got you. Look at me. I look up. His eyes are dark, searching mine for damage. Is it over? I ask, my voice barely a whisper. Yes. He turns me slightly so I can see. Ryan is being read his rights. He looks at us as he's dragged away. But the fire is gone from his eyes. He looks small, defeated. The monster under the bed turned out to be just a sad, dangerous man, with delusions of grandeur. The O'Sullivans, I ask. They've already disavowed him, Franco says grimly. I received confirmation 10 minutes ago. They released a statement claiming no knowledge of his actions. They're cutting a rotting limb to save the body. Ryan is alone. He'll go to federal prison for a very long time. I watch until the doors close behind the police. The gallery is quiet again, save for the low murmur of the security team clearing the scene. I don't feel triumph. I don't feel happy. I just feel heavy. The weight of the last month. The fear. The looking over my shoulder. It's gone, leaving a vacuum that aches. Let's go home, Franco says. He doesn't ask if I want to stay for the police report. He knows I'm done. The ride back to the apartment is silent. Anthony drives, his eyes constantly checking the mirrors, old habits dying hard. I sit in the back with Franco, my head resting on his shoulder, his hand encompassing mine. The city lights blur past, streaks of neon and gold in the rain. When we get inside, the silence of the apartment feels different. It's no longer a fortress. It's just a home again. But the air is thick with things unsaid. I kick off my heels and walk to the large window overlooking the skyline. My reflection in the glass looks ghostly. Pale, eyes wide, red dress like a wound. Franco comes up behind me. He's taken off his jacket and holster, discarding the armor of the night. He wraps his arms around my waist, pulling me back against his chest. We stand there for a long time, watching the city breathe. You were brave, he says finally. The vibration of his voice travels through my back. Braver than anyone I know, but I hated every second of it. I had to do it, I reply, turning in his arms to face him. I couldn't live waiting for the other shoe to drop. We needed to end it. We did. He reaches up, tracing the line of my jaw with his knuckles. But it came close. Too close. When he pointed that gun at you, his mask cracks, just for a fraction of a second, revealing a depth of terror that stops my heart. If I had been a second slower. If Anthony hadn't moved. But you weren't. And he did. I cover his hand with mine. We trusted the plan. We trusted each other. Trust. He repeats the word like it's foreign. In my world, trust is usually what gets you killed. With you, it's the only thing keeping me alive. He leans his forehead against mine. The intimacy of the moment is overwhelming. The adrenaline has faded into exhaustion. But beneath that, there is a simmering heat. We survived. We walked through the fire and came out the other side, scarred but standing. What happens now? I ask. The question that has been haunting me since the beginning. Ryan is gone. The threat is neutralized. Does that mean... I trail off, unable to voice the fear that now that the danger is over, the reason for us being together is gone too. Franco pulls back, his grip on my waist tightening. Megan, look at me. I meet his gaze. It's fierce, possessive, stripped of all pretense. You think this ends because the threat is gone? He shakes his head slowly. You walked into a gunfight for me. You put your life in my hands. You are not a guest here anymore. You are not a client. You are mine, and I am yours. That doesn't change because the police took Bennett away. Your world is still dangerous. I whisper. O'Sullivan backed down, but there will be others. There's always others. Yes, he admits without hesitation. He doesn't lie to me. He never has. My world is dangerous. It is violent and complicated and often ugly. I cannot promise you safety every single day. I cannot promise that we will never be afraid again. He pauses, his thumb brushing my lower lip. But I promise you that you will never face it alone. I promise that I will burn this city to ash before I let anyone harm you. And I promise that if you stay, if you choose this, I will spend every day making sure you don't regret it. I look at him, this man of violence and discipline, of bespoke suits and hidden guns, who builds Lego sets with his nephew, and remembers how I take my coffee. I think about the safety of my old life, the predictability of it. It seems colorless now, distant. I don't want safe, I say, the realization solidifying in my chest. I tried safe. It didn't stop a stalker from breaking into my house. It didn't give me this. I press my hand over his heart. I choose this. I choose you. Franco lets out a breath he seems to have been holding for weeks. He kisses me then, not with the desperate urgency of the balcony, but with a slow, claiming deepness. It's a seal. A contract signed not in blood, but in breath. Then we start. He murmurs against my mouth. Tomorrow, we bring Carlo home. We tell him he can go back to school. We have dinner. We live. We live. I echo. Outside, the rain begins to fall again, washing the streets clean. Inside, the lights are warm. The gun is locked away. The nightmare is over. But as I stand there in the arms of the Mafia boss who saved me, I know that the real story, our story, is just beginning. It won't be easy. It won't be simple. But for the first time in my life, I'm not looking for the exit. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. 2 months have passed since the gallery, and I still wake up some mornings waiting for the adrenaline to hit. But today, the only thing racing is my heart as I unlock the door to my own apartment. The scent of fresh paint and lemon cleaner greets me, a sharp, clean smell that has replaced the lingering memory of fear. Franco stands behind me, holding the last box of my books. He doesn't step inside immediately, respecting the boundary of this moment. This is my reclaiming. My territory, restored. It looks different, I say, walking into the living room. The walls are a warmer shade of cream. The furniture rearranged to catch the morning light better. New security system, Franco points out, nodding toward a discreet panel by the door. Reinforced locks. Shatterproof glass on the balcony doors. Subtle, but impenetrable. Thank you, I murmur, running a hand over the back of my sofa. It feels solid. Real. You don't have to stay here tonight, he reminds me, his voice low. My place is, well, it's quiet without you. I turn to face him. He looks out of place in my modest living room. Too tall, too expensive, too dangerous for this world of IKEA furniture and throw pillows. Yet looking at him, I don't see the Mafia boss who commands armies. I see the man who spent last Tuesday helping me decipher a particularly tricky translation of a 17th century Venetian contract. I know, I say, stepping closer until I can rest my hands on his chest, but I need to know I can. I need to know this part of my life still fits. And does it? I think so. But maybe it needs a little adjusting. I smile, rising on tiptoes to kiss him. I'll come over for dinner tomorrow. Carlo promised to show me his new school project. He relaxes, the tension I hadn't realized he was holding draining from his shoulders. He asks about you every morning. Is Megan coming? Did you call Megan? It's relentless. He's a good kid. We're lucky. The we hangs in the air, comfortable and promising. Life settles into a rhythm that is both strange and wonderful. Jessica and Lauren adjust to this new version of my life with the same blunt affection they've always had. Trading the panicked daily check-in texts for memes about overprotective men and screenshots of apartment listings I'm never actually going to move into now. I maintain my independence, taking on translation projects, meeting deadlines, paying my own bills. But the edges of my world have expanded to include Franco's. I attend dinners with his family, not as a translator or a protected witness, but as his partner. His aunt, a formidable woman named Zia Rosa, who cooks like an angel and judges like a magistrate, eyed me suspiciously for exactly 3 visits before deciding I was worth feeding. Now, she piles my plate high with osso buco and asks when I'm learning to make proper gnocchi. She likes you, Franco observes one Sunday, watching me try to decline a 3rd serving of tiramisu. She told me I need to eat more if I'm going to handle you, I laugh, leaning back in my chair. Apparently you're molto impegnativo, very demanding. Is that so? He grins, stealing a bite of my dessert. I think I've been very patient. Saint-like, I agree dryly. But beneath the domesticity, the reality of his world remains. I see it in the way Anthony scans every room we enter before nodding us forward. I hear it in the late-night phone calls Franco takes in his study, his voice dropping to that cold, authoritative tone that still sends a shiver down my spine. He keeps his promise, though. He never hides it. If there's a threat, I know. If there's a conflict, he explains the stakes. Transparency is our compromise. Sarah visits again in October, bringing Marcus. This time there's no tension, only curiosity. We meet for brunch at a bistro in the Seaport District. Neutral ground, bright and airy. You look settled, Sarah says, studying me over her mimosa. Different. Stronger. I feel stronger, I admit. It's not the life I imagined, Sarah. It's complicated, but it's mine. And him? She glances at Franco, who is deep in conversation with Marcus about structural renovations on a historic building. He treats you well? Better than anyone ever has. He sees me. Not just the version of me that's easy to handle, but the messy, stubborn parts too. Sarah nods, satisfied. Then I'm happy. Worried because I'm your big sister and it's my job, but happy. 2 weeks later, Franco picks me up from a client meeting. The car isn't the usual armored SUV, but a sleek vintage convertible he rarely drives. The top is down, the autumn air crisp and smelling of fallen leaves. Where are we going? I ask as he heads out of the city, away from our usual haunts. Somewhere quiet. I need to ask you something, and I don't want an audience. My heart skips a beat, but I nod. We drive north, the skyline fading into the rearview mirror, replaced by the winding roads of the coast. He stops at a cliffside overlook, the ocean churning gray and wild below us. Franco cuts the engine but doesn't get out. He turns in his seat, watching me with an intensity that makes the air in the car feel heavy. 2 months ago, I thought I had to let you go to keep you safe. He begins, his voice steady but raw. I thought that once the threat was gone, you'd want your old life back. A safe life. A normal life. Franco, let me finish. He takes my hand, his thumb tracing the veins of my wrist. I was wrong. You didn't just survive this world, Megan. You faced it. You looked at the ugliest parts of my life and you didn't run. You stayed. He reaches into his pocket. Not for a ring box. That would be too conventional for us, too simple. But for a small velvet pouch. He tips the contents into his hand. It's a key. Heavy, old-fashioned iron, intricate and dark. This is the key to the villa in Tuscany, my grandfather's house. It's the one place on earth where I don't have to be the boss, where I'm just Franco. He presses the key into my palm, closing my fingers over it. I want to go there with you, not for a vacation, for a beginning. I stare at the key, feeling its cold weight warming against my skin. It's not a proposal of marriage, not yet, but it's something deeper. It's an invitation to the sanctuary of his soul. Are you asking me to move to Italy? I ask, breathless. I'm asking you to build a future with me, wherever that is. Boston, Tuscany, anywhere. But I want you to know that my home isn't a place anymore. It's you. Tears prick my eyes, hot and sudden. I'm not going anywhere, Franco. I told you. I choose this. I choose you. Then keep the key, he whispers. Open the door. I lean across the console, kissing him with everything I have. Gratitude, love, hope. It tastes like salt air, and promise. The final scene of our story isn't a grand explosion or a dramatic rescue. It's a Tuesday night, 3 weeks later. We are at Franco's house. The kitchen is warm, smelling of garlic and roasting tomatoes. I'm chopping basil at the island, a glass of wine near my hand. Franco is at the stove, stirring sauce with the concentration of a bomb disposal expert. Carlo sits at the table, legs swinging, reading a book about sharks aloud to us, stumbling over the big words like cartilaginous. Is that a real word? He asks, looking up. It is, I answer, tossing a handful of basil into the pot. It means made of cartilage, like your nose and ears. Gross, Carlo giggles. Franco looks over his shoulder, spoon suspended in midair. He catches my eye, and a silent communication passes between us. Acknowledgement, contentment. The phone on the counter buzzes. An encrypted message from Anthony about a shipment delay. Franco glances at it, his expression tightening for a fraction of a second. The world outside is still dangerous. The wolves are still circling. But then he looks back at me, at Carlo, at the pot of sauce bubbling on the stove. He puts the phone face down. He turns off the burner. Dinner's ready, he announces. We sit down together. The three of us. A family forged in fire, bound by choice. Outside, the wind howls against the glass, cold and biting. But inside, there is light. There is laughter. There is enough. And for the first time in a long time, when I look at the future, I don't see a question mark. I see this table. I see these faces. I see home.